For centuries, the temples of ancient Egypt have stood silent and mysterious, their towering columns and labyrinthine corridors echoing with the secrets of a lost world. We have long gazed upon their hieroglyphs and statues, interpreting them through the lens of death, mummies, sarcophagi, tombs. But what if this was only a shadow of the truth? What if, rather than monuments to the dead, these temples were instruments of power, machines designed not just for worship, but for harnessing the very energies of the cosmos? Imagine walking through the halls of Karnak, Luxor, or Abydos. The air is thick with the scent of stone and ancient incense. Sunlight filters through cracks in the ceiling, illuminating carvings that have puzzled generations. Among the familiar gods and pharaohs, you notice shapes that seem strangely out of place, patterns that resemble modern circuitry, images that look like antennae, or even light bulbs. The most famous of these is found at Dendera, in the Temple of Hathor, a relief that seemingly shows a bulbous, luminous shape connected by a cable to a device below. Scholars insist it is a lotus flower birthing a snake, a symbol of creation. But those versed in modern engineering see something different: a vacuum tube, a filament, an electrical discharge. Could it be possible that the Egyptians were tapping into a source of energy millennia ahead of their time? Not electricity as we know it, strung along power lines, but something subtler: resonance, vibration, frequency. The evidence begins to stack up when you turn your attention to the greatest of all their monuments, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Rising from the desert floor with mathematical precision, the Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly to the cardinal points. It sits at the geographical heart of the world's landmass, its base level to within less than half an inch, a feat that modern surveyors still marvel at. How could a civilization supposedly armed with copper tools and stone hammers achieve such accuracy? And why, in the deepest chambers, is there no trace of soot or torch marks? If these spaces were lit for workers, what illuminated their way? Some researchers believe the answer lies in the very stones themselves. The king's chamber, deep within the pyramid, is lined with massive granite blocks hauled from Aswan, nearly 500 miles to the south. Granite is rich in quartz, a crystal known for its ability to vibrate under pressure, what we now call the piezoelectric effect. When subjected to stress, quartz crystals can produce an electric charge. Could the pyramid's design have harnessed the vibrations of the earth, channeling natural forces through the quartz-laden walls and granite beams? Was the entire structure a colossal resonator, a machine built to focus and amplify the planet's energy? Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor who dreamed of wireless energy, looked to the pyramids for inspiration. He saw them not as tombs, but as transmitters, machines built to tap into the energies that flow unseen around us. "If you want to find the secrets of the universe," he said, "think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Perhaps the ancient Egyptians understood this wisdom long before Tesla ever put pen to paper. The priests who presided over these temples were more than ritual leaders. They were astronomers, mathematicians, keepers of secrets. They mapped the stars, tracked the movements of the sun, moon, and planets, and timed their ceremonies to celestial rhythms. The annual flooding of the Nile, so crucial for Egyptian life, was predicted by the rising of Sirius, the dog star. This was not superstition, but a code, a calendar written in the heavens. The architecture itself speaks of this cosmic awareness. The Temple of Luxor is aligned so that its central axis points toward the rising of Sirius at the dawn of the new year. The Temple of Abu Simbel is constructed so that, twice a year, sunlight penetrates its sanctum to illuminate statues of the gods, marking dates tied to the reign of Ramses II. These were not mere buildings, but instruments, programmed to interact with the cycles of the cosmos. Even more enigmatic are the texts found in places like the Temple of Edfu. These inscriptions tell of a time before Egypt, when gods and followers of Horus came from a lost island destroyed in a primordial cataclysm. They brought with them the knowledge of the stars and the power of the heavens. Is this simply myth, or the memory of a forgotten civilization, one that mastered forces now lost to time. Some have drawn connections between these stories and the legends of Atlantis or Lemuria, lost lands swallowed by the sea. The texts are uncannily specific, describing an origin across the waters, a migration of wisdom and technology. Why would a culture as advanced as Egypt attribute its origins to beings who came from the sky, carrying the light of knowledge? The similarities between Egyptian symbols and those of distant cultures deepen the mystery. The eye, the feather, the staff, motifs that recur from Sumeria to Mesoamerica. Are these echoes of a shared source, or the signature of travelers who spread their knowledge across the globe? Within the subterranean Osirian at Abydos, carvings that resemble modern helicopters and tanks can be found, their outlines eerily precise. Mainstream scholars call them palimpsests, overwritten images created by accident. But the resemblance to contemporary technology is hard to dismiss. Are these glimpses of the future, or memories of a distant, forgotten past? Consider the figure of Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom. Legends say he gifted humanity with writing, mathematics, geometry, and medicine. The mysterious emerald tablets attributed to him speak of consciousness, vibration, and portals to other worlds. Raise your frequency, and you shall escape the cycle of flesh, one translation reads. Matter is shadow, and light is truth. In these words, can we hear the faint echoes of quantum theory, wrapped in the language of myth? And yet, so much remains hidden. The Great Pyramid, the most famous tomb in history, has yielded not a single mummy. Chambers remain sealed, their secrets guarded. In 2017, advanced scanning technology revealed a vast void above the Grand Gallery, a space more than 100 feet long, untouched for millennia. What lies within? Why are so many discoveries met with silence, denial, or abrupt shutdown? Perhaps the temples of ancient Egypt were built not just for the gods, but for the ages. Perhaps, locked within their stones, is a knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. A code, dormant for thousands of years, awaiting a civilization advanced enough to decipher its message. To reach this understanding, we must ask the questions history has forbidden. What if the gods were travelers from another dimension? What if the pyramids were not tombs but transmitters of energy? What if Egypt was not the dawn of civilization, but the last echo of a forgotten golden age? The clues are all around us, in the angles, the symbols, the stones shaped with impossible precision, and the unexplained energies measured at the pyramid's summit. But why in our modern age are we told to look away? What truths sleep beneath the sands of Egypt, protected by secrecy and time? The gods may be gone, but the technology of their temples might still slumber, waiting for us to awaken it. And perhaps, at last, we are drawing near.